Hey everyone, Sari here, and welcome to the highlights from this week of Astra Season offense matches. Wind Season gave me a great excuse to put Corrin back on my teams. I've been really impressed with her remix. The combination of percentage and flat damage reduction in her weapon makes her extremely durable, especially with her special's unique ability to mitigate multi-hit attacks. Finish complements her kit really nicely, offering her additional damage and healing on every hit, while Magic Null Follow lets her punch through the various glass cannons who rely on damage reduction to survive their fights. Panic Smoke completes the kit, giving her a way to cripple her opponent's stats after her first combat. I'm also using Mirth's Engage for her, while her weapon is very good at recharging negating Fang as a 2-count special. Lowering it to 1 means that even tempo can't disrupt it. With Plumeria as the bonus unit for the week, I also had a bit more flexibility with team building. Here, that means getting to use 2 dedicated supports for Corrin. Gatekeeper and Garrick provide an invaluable combination of cross-map support. The extra stats, healing, null panic, and null penalties turn Corrin into a brick wall of a raid boss. The mythics are mostly set up for mobility here. Thor doesn't really offer much support for Corrin, but Kanto and Odd Tempest give her a lot of options for navigating the early turns. Naga has a similar setup, but can also provide Corrin with a helpful spectrum of stats from a safe distance, along with dragon slaying if needed. Plumeria, of course, rounds out the squad as both the denser and bonus unit for the week. Upgrading Corrin to full adaptive damage is a nice way to help her deal with high-res melee opponents, and the extra layer of dodge from Rockslide Dance boosts her durability even further. The extra mobility from Kanto, Soaring Guidance, and Aerobatics is great too, really helping the team to navigate through cramped opening positions. I also found a great excuse to use a different team at the very end of the week. Tsubasa's been a side project of mine for several years, and I ended up finding a pretty spectacular Binding Worlds form of her from the last round. She's built here as an unstoppable force of nature. With everything online, she's reaching an effective 107 attack and 103 speed without any external support, on top of having Flow Desperation, Penalty Negation, a 3rd hit, Kanto Mobility, and the ability to drop fire on the ground. The rest of the team is set up to enable her, and help clean things up if necessary. Yuri, as usual, is an excellent way to help move the team into position while defusing any traps that might complicate the approach. Triandra offers the team a second dance, along with a great mix of cross-map stat and damage support. Together with her dances, Sabotage, and Guard effects, along with Plumeria's adaptive damage, it's unlikely for Tsubasa to run into a tank that can survive her. Altina and Thor are mostly here as mobility enablers, but they also function as backup to help clear the field, and potentially box in the survivors if needed. The team also has access to a hilarious amount of mobility, with 3 Soaring Guidances, 5 flying units, and every single team member having Kanto. It's trivial for them to navigate through even the tightest opening turns. So let's get to the first match. This match was a neat one to run into about halfway through the week. It's an Aryan-enabled charge formation using Lysithea, Tana, and both Golvegs as their primary threats. There's also a sneaky trap here that can catch Gatekeeper users off guard. Azura will normally start the turn by dancing the Brave Golveg, and the extra movement can let her catch someone who is expecting Gatekeeper to limit her threat range. Lysithea is an important threat too. Even with an attack flaw, her sabotage support and access to a disturbing amount of true damage can easily overwhelm an unprepared tank. Tana's donated Kanto can also make the team really unpredictable, especially if the mythic Golveg gets a chance to activate Pathfinder. I ended up taking a pretty direct approach to this. While the team does have a wall of structures, mountains, and traps to deter melee approaches, we can just use Guidance to help Corrin jump over the wall, and after a dance she can ignore the Hex Trap and take Lysithea off the field. With one team member down and no rallies on their team, this sets Corrin up to tank everything except for Verminous in the coming enemy phase. And with Gatekeeper shutting down charge, the backline is safe, and we don't have to worry about anyone reaching Plumeria, Gatekeeper, or Garrick here. Golveg moves in first. Start of combat damage was a decent chunk, but she can't really follow through with anything relevant. And once the post-combat healing kicks in, Corrin's just right back at full health. Which isn't really boding well for the rest of their team. damage reduction piercing from Magic No Follow is coming in really useful against both Golvegs, even though Corrin does end up outspeeding them here. It's a nice backup in case she wouldn't. And unfortunately for Tana, she is not using the right sweep skill, even if she outsped Corrin to activate it. And, well, Aether is not going to be much of a threat, and neither is Arian. And with only Mortis left on the field, it's pretty straightforward to start cleaning things up. We just need to pick up both Aether pots, and then navigate our way into closing out the match.
I'll do it. Keep moving forward.
It will be done.
By your will.
Which way to go?
Despair for the living.
This match took a slightly different cavalry-focused approach, also featuring 3 of the latest seasonal duo menaces. The combination of Leo, Nighrine, and Sanaki is a very tall order to trained tank. They pack an intimidating combination of start-of-combat damage, AoE, pierce, and true damage across the entire weapon triangle. Wall of structures at the bottom and the line of traps in front of them can make this a tricky Team 2-player phase too. There is a bit of a flaw with this setup, though. Leon's position on the left means that we can split the fights over a couple of turns. This is especially handy since Corrin doesn't have Null Sea Disrupt. I get things started on the first turn again, opening up a bit of room for Gatekeeper on the left side of the field, before dancing Corrin forward on the right.
Yes.
While this does put Gatekeeper in range of Golveg, she's also the 7th slot unit, and since Azura can't reach her with Freyr in the way, he'll always end up attacking Corrin instead of dancing. Nighrine moves in first. You can get a pretty decent chunk of AoE damage in on Corrin, but unfortunately for her, she can't quite do the same amount in combat, which means that Corrin gets to start recovering all of that health. Sanaki moves in next. It does most of her damage from the ploy, which was also boosting the damage that Nighrine was able to do to Corrin. And, well, here she just doesn't accomplish anything. And then Azura moves in to, very considerately, return Corrin to full health. They are out of range of the rest of their team here, and while Leon repositioning and then cantoing over does make this a little trickier than I would have liked, we still have a way to reach him and simplify the remaining turns. By moving Plumeria over like this and opening a path, we can have her jump over Corrin and canto back, and then pull Thor and Plumeria out of Golveg's threat range, and move Corrin in to take Leon down. And with Leon out of the way, that's the last major threat that would be a problem for Corrin. dealt with. While Gulfig can get a chunk of start of combat damage done, like before, she has a hard time actually doing too much damage during combat. While Corrin can just punch through that DR and wipe her out. And Freyr, well, he's not having a good time of this. From here, it's mostly just about navigating to these ether pots before we close things out, and Femortis having those armored boots is actually causing a bit more trouble than I would like. So, what I end up doing here is using Gatekeeper to lull him out for the coming turn, which buys us some time to reach these ether pots before we have Corrin take him down.
I like the sound of that.
Reporting for duty.
Why not?
Yes.
Greetings.
Keep moving forward.
Weep for the dead.
This match was a bit of a surprise to see at the end of the week. It's been a very long time since I've seen an armored stallball setup. The cornerstone of their team is this maxed out near save Femortis. Together with his bonus weak stats, hardy fighter, and miracle and stat support, he is extremely difficult to take down. The brave Corrin is similarly intimidating for ranged opponents, and all of it becomes exponentially harder to break after the first turn thanks to Corrin's Dragon Vein, Femortis' Escutcheon, and Freyr's bonuses coming online. There are a couple of adjustments that might improve this. Switching Freyr into Muspel's positions would help bulk Femortis up even further, and giving Maria Restore instead of Nudge would make it harder to bait her into attacking Nullsea Disrupt tank. But it's a well-structured setup overall, and can easily checkmate people who underestimate how bulky these tanks are. Unfortunately for them, I'm not planning to do that. By using some creative Kanto and guidance movements, we clear out the approach and pave the way for Tsubasa to move in and absolutely demolish Femortis. Afterwards, a step back and a foul play pulls her out of any potential attacks by Maria, and sets her up to start dismantling the rest of the team on the following turn.
By your will.
It's definitely worth noting that Tsubasa wouldn't actually be able to finish Femortis off in one round after the first turn. The extra damage reduction from Escutcheon, combined with Guard slowing down no quarter, would let him survive the first two hits with enough health to let Maria save him from the third with Miracle. But with Femortis out of the picture, the rest of the team becomes pretty straightforward to dismantle. While Corrin is still fairly bulky, she isn't set up to tank melee opponents, and without Miracle to back her up, she goes down pretty cleanly.
I see.
It's time.
Taking down Maria next means that they don't have any attackers left on the field, and it's just a matter of cleaning up the team while picking up the last ether pot for a nice clean finish to the week.
Let's take flight. Watch this, Sita.
Consider it done.
I seek a foe. They will submit. I'll handle this.
Yes?
I'll do it.
Let's take flight. Watch this, Zeta.
With utter certainty. I see.
Here I come. Ha!
While it was a quieter week than usual, I still had a lot of fun with it. It was great to see Corrin continuing to thrive with her updated kit, and getting an excuse to put Tsubasa in the spotlight was a real treat. I do have a Discord channel if you'd like to hang out and chat. There's a link in the description, and I've also got a Patreon link there if you'd like to help support the channel. As always, I hope you've enjoyed the video, good luck with your own matches, and I'll see you next time.